Hello, everyone. This is Yvonne and Lyle. Welcome to our true crime podcast today.
Come on right along, let me tell you a tale.
Welcome to WTBL, Walking the Blue Line. I'm Lyle,
And I'm Yvonne.
and we are exploring the life and times of a law enforcement family. Since I was in law enforcement for a number of years, Yvonne has had to put up with being the wife of a law enforcement member.
It's tricky.
And all of our children as well. But we've been kind of talking about all of the things that we go through and the experiences that we've had because of this. One of the things that came to my mind is, remember back when we were dating?
30 years ago?
Yeah, long time ago. But I told Yvonne, hey, she should love my job. So in order to encourage that, I asked her to go on a ride along. You remember?
I do.
Vaguely?
I remember the important part.
The important parts. Do you remember what you thought about when this guy asked you to go spend 8 to 10 hours of the day working instead of like going out on a date or something?
I wasn't thinking about that so much. I was a little nervous because back in those days, I was allowed to go and do everything with you. I wasn't restricted to staying into the car or not being able to be around the people you were talking to. I was a little nervous about that because I was like, what if it gets into like a really dangerous thing? What am I going to do? And the other thing I remember about that night, the first time, was the radio. It's just constant. And I couldn't understand most of it because it's all codes, this, that, and the other thing. But it was kind of exhausting for me because you kind of had the radio going a little bit and then the music radio along with the sheriff's department. And so it was like, how do you understand any of this?
My tastes have changed over time. I mean, there was a time where I would listen to the FM radio.
Yeah.
Or then the AM talk radio. And then on top of that, you have the police radio going. And of course, this was back in the days before cell phones. So we didn't have that thrown in there. We didn't have computers in the car like they do now. Here I am trying to impress you, the suave and debonair kind of police officer thing going. And so I ask you to go out, and I'm thinking, I always loved taking people out for ride-alongs, teaching them things, kind of explaining our job. That was kind of a fun part of getting to do it. But when you get in the car, I got to give you this briefing of like all the things that can go wrong.
Don't touch this. Don't touch that.
Exactly. If someone comes after you, here's how you unlock the shotgun. Can you shoot it? Can you get on the radio and say, hey, officer needs help?
I do remember that. And I'm like, oh, please don't make me have to do that.
Luckily, out of all the years I did that, none of my riders ever had to step in. But
your dad did one time, didn't he? Something?
No, he didn't have to help me, but he was there when
he wanted to.
I got into a very dangerous situation. He ended up staying in the car, but it all worked out in the end. So if I recall right, it was probably a graveyard shift because
yes, it
I was mostly working graveyard.
I don't think I ever went on a ride along with you during day shift.
At least the first part of the night, the bars are hopping, that kind of thing. I think the couple of times that you ever went with me, we always picked a busy night, like a Friday or a Saturday night.
I do remember once thinking, oh, I'm going to go ride with him on Halloween. And it was the boringest night there was. Nothing happened. I'm like, can I go home? Halfway through the night, I'm like, can I go home?
Yeah, if you're not used to working those hours and that isn't in your daily routine of sleep, it's like about 2 a.m.
It was like doing
Can I stay awake for a full 8-hour shift?
Well, on the other flip side of that, though, there was one night that you were so busy that you had about 3 or 4 calls, like bam, 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 and he had so many reports to write. And I was thinking the same thing. I don't think people realize how many hours it takes you guys to do your paperwork. I mean, it's crazy.
And back in those days too, again, before computers, all of my reports were handwritten, and some of them would easily be 6, 8 pages long. UIs actually were some of the worst, where you arrested for someone for driving under the influence, and your report could be, now, granted, some of it is just circle and whatnot, but, up to 15, 16 pages long, being very detailed.
Yeah, the one night I went with you, that well, I went several times with him, but there was one night in particular where you had a DUI, and then you had someone that we were in pursuit with,
All
and I
right.
think there was another one who was already in the back. I mean, there was so much paperwork. I was thinking, my gosh, I need to go home. He's going to be, you wrote for, I mean, I don't know how many hours.
Right.
It was long.
Yeah, we kind of typically had a routine of handling all the calls at the beginning of the shift, hoping that it would die down around 3 or 4 a.m. So then we could spend the last half of our shift just doing all of the paperwork that would go along with it. Most people out there have probably seen the police sitting in a restaurant somewhere.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's
Paperwork.
true. I mean, there were times where we would spend 2 or 3 hours in the restaurant, but that entire time I'm just sitting there writing reports because back in those days we didn't have like a precinct we could go to. It was either write it in your car, which wasn't the most comfortable, or go find somewhere where you could have a cup of coffee and sit down and write reports. Do any calls stand out in your mind?
I don't know if it was our first pursuit, but there was one where I think it was in the middle of your shift and you had arrested someone. They were in the back of your car. We were sitting there with some of the other police officers. Did the car go flying by us or something, or was it a call?
On that particular one, we had placed a guy under arrest for violating a domestic violence protection order, and he had a warrant for his arrest
And he
as
was
well.
just sitting in the back of the car.
I
He was very
hadn't handcuffed him yet because I was waiting on our records office to confirm the paperwork so that we make sure that everything is in order before I actually charge him. Records is looking for the paperwork to verify it, and myself and another deputy are standing outside the car talking about the arrest we just made when we hear a car crash about a block away. And
And then tires squealing, right?
exactly right after you hear the two cars crash, you hear one of them rev up the engine and the tires screech and down the street they go. And we knew we got a hit and run. We could see a portion of it at the stoplight. One car stayed there. And the other deputy that I'm talking with, he doesn't have anybody under arrest. We know that we're arresting the guy that's in the back seat of my car by this time. And so I say, you go after him. I'll be your backup. And we take off out of the parking lot and call out in pursuit of this hit and run driver. We get about 4 or 5 blocks down the street, and I'm looking around.
There's nobody.
Yeah, what happened to the other deputy? Where did he go?
And this guy's flying, going
Yeah.
through like a residential area, and he's going really fast. He's taking lots of turns. And then all of a sudden, he like slows down. He starts doing the speed limit. He starts using his blinkers every time he turns. But there was one time where he hit a high spot, and I mean, he went up, and when he came down, sparks were flying. I think he was right after that. He must have scared him.
We were doing close to 90 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone. He crossed a major arterial, and when he did that, we could see
Some
his
air a little bit.
see his car go airborne, and when he comes down, sparks flew. This is around 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. So there isn't really any traffic, but it's also dark. And I mean, you can see these sparks fly like crazy. I think it scared him because he probably almost lost control there. And then all of a sudden he slows down. He starts obeying the traffic laws.
At that
Turn
point, we're like,
signals.
buddy, it's too late.
We've been on your tail the entire time. It's not like all of a sudden you're somebody.
And the other officer wasn't behind us. It
Yeah.
was like we were the ones doing it.
So when you get into a pursuit like that and somebody pulls over or they crash, typically it turns into what we call a felony stop because obviously in the state of Washington at least, they've committed a felony by running from you. And you probably suspect that they committed a felony before that because why would they be running?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we initiate this traffic stop on him. We get him in custody. 5 or 6 other deputy sheriffs showing up on scene.
Oh, you did get him into custody, but that was quite the scene for me to watch because
right.
all of a sudden when the rest of them finally caught up to us, which none of them included the guy who was supposed to be chasing him, there was like 4 or 5 of you and you all jump out with your guns drawn and yelling
The
at
loudspeaker.
the loudspeaker, get out, hands up, down on the ground. That was pretty wild to watch in real life. I was like, ah! What's going on?
Yep.
So then you guys got him into custody. And he didn't resist at that point.
Just like you see on TV.
And
We hope that you're enjoying today's podcast.
if you are, please like, subscribe, and share. Yeah, but it's
Right.
different when you're sitting there in the car.
Right. And so we get him into custody. So now I got 2 people in my back seat.
Which the one guy, you're really not supposed to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that was another funny part. So this guy that's in the back, he doesn't have handcuffs on and he doesn't have a seatbelt on. And we are flying down the road and we're going on corners and he's like, hey, how do I put my seatbelt on? He was scared and he was hanging on to the roof. And so finally, I think Lyle slowed down and told him how to get a seatbelt on.
This was completely not something that should have happened. I thought that I was backing another officer. And so when it's all said and done, I do meet up with that other officer. And there was what happened as he was leaving the parking lot that we initially heard. He hit the curb and it instantly flattened one of the tires on his car. So he was out of the chase. He was never in it. My sergeant comes over after the fact and talks to me. And I was expecting to get written up for this whole thing because,
to have a guy
taking a prisoner is not a cool thing. No, but the whole thing got handled. Nobody got hurt. The prisoner in the back seat had he thought great.
Oh yeah, he was laughing. He was just like, wait, how do I get my seatbelt on? But he was good cheer. Considering he was under arrest, yes. I was amazed.
It was probably the biggest highlight of his night.
So if you got to get arrested, you might as well have some fun.
I'm doing it, right. That was a pretty interesting call. Any other highlights?
Not on that call, but there was another. This guy had hit somebody in his car, and he was sitting in the back of a car, and you were outside with some other police officers, and I don't know what you were doing, but I was sitting in the car with the prisoner. I mean, there's a petition and everything like that. Yeah. And he looks at me, and he goes, hey, are you the one I hit? And I was like, no, you didn't hit me. And then when Lyle got back in the car, I told him that. And he goes, oh, really? Because I guess he had said he hadn't done that.
Right. He started giving you a jailhouse confession.
Yes, yeah.
So
I got to relay that on.
At the same time, he didn't really want to talk to me, but and then I'm not sure what he thought.
He definitely didn't know I was your wife.
Right.
I think he thought I was sitting in there because I was in an accident or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he didn't know. And I didn't say anything to him about that. I just talked to him just a little bit.
Yeah. So,
and there was, are we talking about all the calls in general?
I was just curious as to some of the highlight ones, at least.
Well, the one where I was in the car and you stopped and you jumped out and you had to chase somebody. And oh my gosh. So I'm in the car, and these are not on the same nights. So I'm in the car and you're chasing somebody in the car, and they stop and you stop. And then I forget exactly what happened after that, but you ended up getting out of your car and chasing this guy, and he's running around this house, and it was almost like cat and mouse. He went one way and you went the one way, and he kind of turned around. And did he end up running into the house?
On this one, we were watching a drug house in the area, and this guy gets in his car, and as he's leaving the drug house, I initiate a traffic stop.
He wasn't having that.
So he flees in his car, but he only goes,
not very far.
Yeah, he goes a few blocks in a circle, and then he comes back to a different house where he parks out front. I jump out. We get into a foot chase around the house. So
it's sort of comical, but scary at the same time.
As well as they have a bunch of junk in their front yard. So they had this bathtub that they're using as a planter in the front yard. And so we are going around and around the bathtub as I'm trying to tackle him, catch him. Yeah. And he gets around to the corner, and obviously he knew the people inside. So someone let him inside, and he goes in the back door. And by that time, other officers show up, and we surround the house, and ends up eventually coming out and take him into custody.
But didn't they try to cover for him and say he wasn't in there? And we're like, well, we just saw him go in the back door.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's one of those things too, where this little call, somebody starts hiding from you, turns into, I know we were there for a couple of hours while we're negotiating with the people to have him come out. We're basically telling him, well, we're going to go get a search warrant.
Yeah. I think you did, because didn't you go?
I can't remember exactly on that one either, whether we went into the house or he came out. I know we were there for quite a while. And so my guess is we probably got a search warrant and went in and got him.
I do know that when you guys were running around outside and around, I was sitting here thinking, is this one of those times where I'm going to have to get on the radio and call for help?
Yeah. So it was,
A little nerve-wracking, but yeah.
yeah. So if you had the chance to go on a ride along with your daughter coming up or something, is that something you think you would do?
Maybe, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's stressful though when it's a little I mean, as a boyfriend or husband, that's a little different. As a mom and a daughter, I think I would probably be a little more still
Yeah.
worry about her. I do a lot of praying.
Right.
It's like, "Please keep them safe."
Well, like I said, I mean, I've always enjoyed taking people out and showing them what we do, and I think a ride along is a good
It's an
opportunity.
honor.
It is an eye opener. For those of you that are interested, if you have a law enforcement office in your area that you would like to do that, most of them are open to people coming on ride-alongs for certain reasons. Go down, so you can go on a ride-along with your local police department or sheriff's office. It'll be eye-opening.
I will say this because there's a lot of people at home, like, yeah, I mean, we all do football games and stuff like that, but you're sitting in your nice, cozy recliner and you're like, why did that guy do that? Why did, there's no reason. And then you go out and you see the situation for real. You're not in your comfortable home, safe and sound. You're out in a car and things are so much different. And it really opens your eyes. I mean, it isn't all just fun and games out there. It's serious and dangerous, but I mean, it's also some humor, but it
Right.
puts a whole new perspective on it.
I guess that's one of the things is when you can see that stuff up front, close, personal with your own eyes, because what we see in the media a lot of times are just little blips. Exactly.
And they can be so misleading.
Yeah, they take them out of context or something like that. And if you know the whole story, not to delve off too far, but we talk about one of the Dateline episodes that I was on, the Shannon Starbuck situation. Dateline, by the time they were done, I had people asking, are you sure you got the right guy? And in a 2-hour special, you can't sum up 6 months worth of investigation and all the things that happen. And it's the same thing on YouTube videos and social media is like people look at what the police are doing out there. They're not there to see the entire situation and it gets taken out of context.
And well, and also on the Dateline thing, so much information was left out.
Right.
I
Yep.
mean, you only have so much time to put it out there, but actually, Dateline and there was 3 or 4 other shows that covered that, but he was definitely guilty. If you saw all the information and you knew everything that had happened in the background, I don't feel like they did an injustice to him. I think that he should have been
Right. But
convicted.
well, anyway, I guess we'll probably cover a few more of those ride-alongs because I know there's some other stories out
Yes.
there. For today, thanks for coming along on
Yeah.
Walking the Blue Line. Look for our email address in the comments and such to send us any questions, suggestions, or feedback on anything that we've had to put up here today, and we'll be more than happy to engage with you.
We'd love to.
Thank you, and you guys have a good day.
Bye-bye.
From our